Hello everyone, CARTETHYIA is finally out and here comes our second Sentinel Resonator in the game. In this video, I will be explaining CARTETHYIA's entire skill set, then going over her resonance change and emphasizing any early notable ones, then covering her best weapon, echoes, overall stats, and create value to look for and team's composition. So without wasting any more time everyone, let's get into the video. So first off, CARTETHYIA will have two different forms, the normal one and the big one, Flooderies. And each form will have its own benefit. For example, CARTETHYIA form will be able to apply arrow erosion to enemies easily by doing her normal attack, heavy attack, resonance skill, and intro skill, and each attack will apply up to 2 stacks of arrow erosion. While in Flooderies form will focus more on dealing extra damage, which is around 60% more arrow damage. And in this form will be gain more benefit, especially from the new set of echoes, which I will talk about it on the echoes part later. When in CARTETHYIA form, her Forte bar will have 3 different swords icon, which as of now I only can assume that these 3 things starting from the left to the right, extraterrestrial, spirit, and hot energy. Basic attack will summon spirit sword projection, heavy attack will summon extraterrestrial sword, and resonance skill will summon hot sword projection. To retrieve all sword projection is by casting mid-air attack, and you can obtain the hot, spirit, and extraterrestrial energy. Casting liberation when in CARTETHYIA form will transform her into Flooderies, and in this form she will gain another buff from each of the energy. Hot energy will slow nearby enemy and increase her resistance to interruption. Spirit energy will increase the cooldown of arrow erosion damage tick by 50% and multiply the damage by 50% more. Extraterrestrial energy will help trigger additional arrow erosion with her normal attack and resonance skill. CARTETHYIA Forte bar also change when she transforms into Flooderies from energy bar to determination, and she can hold up to 120 determination. Upon maxing out her determination, pressing resonance liberation will cast Blade of Wind's Fury, which is just like Excalibur but with extra touch on it. This skill will consume all arrow erosion stack, and each stack consumed will amplify the damage by 20% up to 5 stack, which means we can get her damage up to 100% damage increase. Determination can be restored by casting normal attack, resonance skill, dodge counter, and intro skill of Flooderies. CARTETHYIA outro skill will help amplify the team damage by 17.5% against the enemy with negative status except for herself. And for her other 2 inherent skill, after casting her outro skill, the healing effect received increased by 20%, and if Rover is in the team, Rover interruption resistance will be increased. For each stack of arrow erosion on a target, the damage dealt by CARTETHYIA and Flooderies is increased by 10% up to 60%. And now let's discuss CARTETHYIA resonance change and how much stronger she gets with each one. C1 will help Flooderies to copy and paste the highest arrow erosion stack to the other enemies that get hit, and gain 10 seconds of concentration, which also stores the higher number of arrow erosion stack of defeated enemy and will apply it to the next target. Not only that, Flooderies also get additional 20% crit damage for every 30 determination, overall 80% more crit damage, as she can hold up to 120 determination. With C1, Flooderies might be able to deal extra damage since the enemies will be inflicted with arrow erosion, where only CARTETHYIA form be able to do that. And with having enemies with arrow erosion, Flooderies might get another 30% extra arrow damage from the Journey of Glory set. C2. After cast liberation, Flooderies, arrow erosion stack will be increased by 3, and those 3 stack of arrow erosion will be applied to the next attack. CARTETHYIA also gain another buff by the damage multiplier for her basic attack is increased by 80% and her mid-air attack by 300%. With this buff, we probably going to keep swapping between CARTETHYIA and Flooderies even more just to get the benefit from all of this buff and trying to stacking up arrow erosion for Flooderies. C3 help Flooderies to inflict more arrow erosion to enemies, where normal attack will apply 2 stack while resonance skill only give 1 stack of arrow erosion. Flooderies Liberation Blades of Wind's Fury damage multiplier is also increased by 100%, which making it even scarier than before. C4 help increase CARTETHYIA's survivability by restore 10% of match HP when taking a lethal damage and reduce damage taken by 80%. Casting Resonance Liberation Cavalry of Carrying after taking a lethal will reduce the HP taken from 50% to 25% only. This change will greatly help if you're planning to take on some difficult bosses like Hologram, or you don't plan on having any healers on your team. C5 is more to universal support from CARTETHYIA, where it will help increase all attribute damage bonus by 20% whenever any character inflicted a negative status to an enemy. Finally, C6. After casting Blade of Wind's Fury, apply Arrow Erosion up to the max limit immediately, and she gains another buff for 30 seconds. When any team has applied Arrow Erosion to the target at max stacks, the Arrow Erosion will immediately detonate once, regardless of the remaining duration. Targets under this stat will take 40% increased damage from flurries. TLDR, this C6 just all big booms damage for flurries. Now let's talk about how to build her. First up, base echo set and main stats. In the next version 2.4, we will be getting a new Sonata effect called Journey of Glory, where its effect will grant 10% crit rate and increase arrow damage by 30% for 10 seconds. This set will easily be her best in slot set to run for DPS because she's guaranteed 10% crit rate always active and a free 30% damage bonus. Since this new set is still in beta and possibly getting changed, there's another one set that has been out for most of Rinasita, and most of you guys should have a decent set on this 5-piece, and that is her next best choice of echoes, Gust of Valkyne. This set is pretty close to Journey of Glory, just ever so slightly worse, but yeah, still usable. In general, for better DPS, I recommend just aiming for the Journey of Glory and save your wave flags from now on, as this set provides the better buff and guarantee she'll gain 10% extra crit rate without much investment. Alright, now let's talk about her main stats. So CARTETHYIA probably has the easiest build path for main stats since her damage scale off her HP. For cost 4 is either crit rate or crit damage depending on your luck with the substats if you can maintain a good crit ratio between 60 to 70%. For cost 3 slot, I would recommend to combine it between HP and arrow damage bonus since we already get 30% arrow damage bonus from the set effects, and to not go overkill with arrow damage bonus, so yeah, get ready for HP percent. For cost 1 is pretty simple, just farm HP percent for CARTETHYIA. In terms of substat, getting both crit rate and crit damage is already a good choice to go for, and for more extra damage, adding HP percent on it is also a good thing. Basic attack damage bonus and liberation damage bonus are the last two subs to aim for, with basic attack generally being better since CARTETHYIA form her heavy attack is considered as basic attack damage, and in Flurry's form her resonance skill is also considered as basic attack damage. Now let's talk about her best weapon. But one thing I want to mention, since CARTETHYIA is based off HP, not attack percent, there's not that many good options at the moment, especially 4-star weapon. Let's start off with her signature weapon, Defier's Thorn. This weapon will provide additional 84% HP, which is a lot of HP for CARTETHYIA, and the damage dealt ignore 8% of the target's defense. This weapon also increases the damage dealt by 20% when the enemy inflicted with arrow erosion. Overall better weapon for CARTETHYIA. Unflickering Valor is one of the best weapons for CARTETHYIA, while it will provide additional 48% basic attack damage bonus and extra crit rate, which is not that bad. Red Spring and Emerald of Genesis is a solid crit stats weapon for CARTETHYIA, even some of this weapon passive might not be usable for her. For the 4-star option, Battle Pass Looming Gloss is the only one that I could say is the least viable for her by fully taking advantage of its passive, but probably lost on the weapon substats. Last but not least, 3-star weapon, Guardian Sword. This is the only weapon that provides HP percent on its second stat with maximum at level 90, 30.4% HP percent. Now let's talk about CARTETHYIA best team comp and also a few alternatives that you can use. This way you can decide how much you are willing to sacrifice for CARTETHYIA damage. So the most crucial part of our team comp is the need of arrow erosion application on enemies, which is primarily done with Rinasita character. Well, as of now, only 1%. Right now, we only have one option, and it is Chakuna, who can help to inflict extra arrow erosion to enemies. Rover is another character you can put with CARTETHYIA together, but you need, for example, Phoebe to deal Spectral Frazzle to enemies, and that way Rover will use their resonance skill to convert the negative status into arrow erosion, which will make the rotation even longer. There's also another team comp you can try by combining CARTETHYIA, Janshin, and Yang Yang. This team will bring out more damage on CARTETHYIA Liberation by focusing more on its damage and uptime from both Janshin and Yang Yang outro skill. Finally, CARTETHYIA Material Ascension and Skill Level Up. So for the boss core, she will need 46 of the new boss drop, which is not yet being shown, but it will be available on the new area. And for the regional flowers, she will need 60 regional flowers from the new area as well. And for the talent level up, she will need 26 when Iris bloom, which can be found by defeating Fleuris. And that's wrap up my pre-farm guide on CARTETHYIA. Overall, I think she is super strong power DPS, but really wants a good arrow erosion applicator to team up with. The build path is super easy and the playstyle is pretty straightforward. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of her. As always, most of the key information I share with you might get changed whenever the official release comes out, so please keep an eye on the comment section as I'll try to post there if some of the things have been changed. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you all at the next one. Goodbye.